I came here in 1981 and was very much involved in heritage building challenges and trying to protect some of them. But I have to say, I've been very, very heartened by this community. I grew up in a small town in Manitoba and moved here in 1981. And there's something about living in a small community where you know people and you get to know about issues and we can congeal. So when I think of the many outstanding features of this incredible effort to do with the Xinyi glass plant, that was one distinguishing one. That we knew, so many of us knew each other and we were able to connect in various ways relatively easily, even within the framework of a pandemic. And most certainly through the significant efforts of Get Concerned and Sharon, Mike Balkwill running these amazing meetings, which I know most, if not all of you are part of. And that this was another very important component, was all that we were learning through those Zoom meetings. And that could keep us thinking together and familiar with all the information at the same time. For my part, I thought, well, what can we contribute? I mean, me being myself, my assistant Mark, my colleague Errol, as most of you know, we're in the music business and in the touring business. So I thought, well, we can lean in a different direction. Get Concerned, the Wellington Water Watchers, with the incredible strategy that coming from Mike Balkwill fills a very big part of this puzzle. But I thought, well, what we can do is bear down on some of the information. By the end of the whole episode, I was astonished, or we were all astonished to learn how long this project had been in the works. That my colleague Errol was building what we call the punishing timeline. That this timeline that went over 2 years. And it was just all fact-based, all the reports, all the steps of the road. And I remember sitting with the former mayor on a few occasions within this whole episode, and one occasion in particular, and it was always very amicable, I might say, very respectful conversations that we had. But at the same time, I felt, that the facts have to speak for themselves. And facts, if you put them together in a robust way, they can be quite forceful. So as he could see that we had assembled this very robust timeline, the other project that Errol did was, I said, go and put it together in an Excel spreadsheet, the list of M's and O's. We need to understand M's and O's far better. So he put together this Excel spreadsheet, which I think 2018 was the election in June, and we could see a few MZOs being issued. And we know just what an aggressive and sometimes undemocratic, or not totally undemocratic, instrument they are, because they can override the municipality and you can't appeal them. And so clearly it seemed that the Ford government was testing the waters, and Stratford was one of those first places. So we could see not only the tempo of these MZOs, but who was in the mix. And we see a lot of these characters, I shouldn't say characters, we see a lot of these individuals as the developers that appear even within the Greenbelt kind of thing in the highway 413. So we were doing that behind the scenes, and then of course we were mounting the rallies, which I felt was another companion piece to the unbelievable work that Get Concerned and my instance we were doing. Again, complicated by the pandemic. And I was thinking, walking in today, thinking of those days when you dropped off all those shoes, when we couldn't even stand in that center of the city, and how all those shoes, the vision, the image of all those shoes standing in for all of you who played such an important role. But I felt that within those rallies, they too needed to be conceived in a particular way, where we were able to bring forward all the voices that had the farming community, the indigenous community, the environmental people, the youth, and so on. It was wonderful to have David Crombie phone in live from Toronto. We had the recording of course, of Doug Ford said he'd never touched the Greenbelt and so on. So it was because I've learned over the years, and this probably goes back to the 80s when I was involved in the heritage buildings, that politicians don't like people on the streets. And yet, day before yesterday, I went up to Orangeville to the rally. It was a modest rally up in Orangeville for 413. And the placards, the people on the street, the honking, and that's quite infectious. And it's also very, very visible for the media. So that rally, those rallies that everyone attended under the most difficult of circumstances, I feel played another key role in this, because it kept it in the media's eye. We would send out a press release on Thursday, so the media would line themselves up Friday for the Monday's rally. And this was our drill behind the scenes. And you'll hear a lot more from the mics about their corners, but I just wanted to share with you a little bit the behind the scenes, what was going on in this house for practically 4 months straight. I remember barely taking Christmas Day off, as did the others who were leaning into all of this. But it was a very sobering, very informative exercise. Of course, when it all came to an end, and the council, led by the individuals, decided to let the option lapse. That was a pretty significant moment when they just didn't move on with the project. The last rally I found was, I almost didn't do it because I thought, well, we had achieved what we wanted to achieve. But probably for me, I think one of the most sobering things of the whole episode was when Jamie Gibb was painting for me, receiving this letter on Christmas Eve that was announcing this meeting at the Rotary Complex about this kind of project that was coming up, but there wasn't really much information, and there wasn't anything except this 30-page brochure the night before this massive meeting with the councils, the Perth Counties Council and the City Council. And nobody was still really quite clear. There had clearly been a lot of correspondence about, was there a glass factory, were there MZOs involved, and so on. And the night before that, that meeting, they put out this, what I call the 30-page brochure. We still have it, I still have it upstairs as a kind of show and tell, as you can imagine about this time. And it was a mere 2 weeks later that Jamie said, oh, I have this other document that was sent. Then we realized it was sent to the ministry. And it was like a 250 or, a very, very substantial document that had Xinyi, MZOs all through it, when the farming community and all those who were at that meeting that night they were told no way was there anything significant. For me, that was very fundamental because it was a betrayal for me. I felt it as a betrayal of the public's trust in those who we vote in to serve us. And I think that, things have, and there's so much more that's happened since I've left the scene, and Mike has done Mike Sullivan, superb work in terms of the next phase of Xinyi with, and Sharon and many other people. And I think that at the end of the day, for me, lessons are facts count, respectful discourse, protest counts, but people can change things. They really, really can, if they're organized and determined. And in this day and age, I think we feel that many of the problems are perhaps too big for us, but I don't. I think a lot of people even who are the majority, can make a huge, huge difference, because not every person is able to have the time or the wherewithal that we've had. So anyway, that I just wanted to share some of that with you. Our circumstances, we've been missing in action, touring and doing some other things, and we've not been able to participate in some of the very important work that's gone on since. We're in a little bit better position at the moment to lean into things. We're looking at the 413, we're looking at the farmland down in Wilmot County. And you know, there's no shortage of things. I know that the Discovery Centre, the normal schools coming up, etc. There's no shortage of things. But only to say is that it's been a great, great privilege to be part of this group of people who worked so hard, came out in the most dire of circumstances to come and pull towards this success, and I feel immensely proud to be part of this community. So thank you very much.